Hello friends, it's Lisa and welcome to a new reading vlog. So I was trying to decide what kind of video I wanted to film for the week that this vlog is hopefully going up, and I was just not really feeling any of the sit down video ideas that I had, and I thought, you know what I should do? I should do a vlog. I just love vlogging. They're my favorite videos to film. They're my favorite videos to watch. And even though, they take longer to film because I'm filming them over the span of typically a week, sometimes longer, and they also take me the longest to edit, I just want to film one. It doesn't matter that it's not an easy thing to film. I just love vlogging, and I feel like I used to vlog a lot more, even just like a year ago. But I know, like, especially a couple years ago, I was vlogging all the time. I feel like every week pretty much I had a new vlog going up, and I miss that era. I'm not promising that I'm going to be doing weekly vlogs anytime soon, but I do want to, I think, get in the habit of doing more vlogs. So that's what we're here to do. Welcome to a new vlog. But I also want to do a vlog because I need to do some reading. I have been completely flopping in the month of February at reading, which, like, a part of me is like, it doesn't really matter. I haven't been in the biggest mood to read, so I'm not forcing it. So I'm totally okay with that. But at the same time, I do want to read. I just keep, picking up my phone or watching YouTube videos or doing something that, like, I don't need to be doing instead. And I want to try getting out of that habit. I want to start picking up books again. I want to start reading again. So that's another reason why I want to vlog, because vlogging holds me accountable. It's not going to be a very interesting reading vlog if I'm not reading. So there we go. That's how I trick my brain. So yeah, I'm going to hopefully do some reading in this reading vlog. I've only read one book in February, so I really want to fix that. Plus, I'm technically now behind on my Goodreads goal. It's now saying I think I'm like one book. It's only one book, but still, it's saying I'm one book behind schedule, and I don't like seeing the behind schedule thing. It makes me upset. So that's why we're gonna change that hopefully with this vlog. So I am currently reading two things. Even though I haven't been doing a ton of reading, I've attempted to try and read some new books. I'm not very far in either of them. One of them being Bloodmarked by Tracy Dion. This is the sequel to Legendborn, which I reread kind of towards the end of last year and wanted to pick the sequel up kind of soon so that, like, all of the information from the first book would be fresh in my head, and then I would know what was going on in the sequel. So I'm proud of myself for actually picking up the sequel in a relatively short amount of time. But in this book, you have the Legendborn Society, and basically they are all descendants, or like they are recruited by the descendants of King Arthur and all of the Knights of the Round Table. I know nothing about King Arthur. I don't typically like King Arthur books because I feel like I've read some other ones and I've been like, not my thing, but I do like the series, obviously. But we have our main character, Bree, who ends up accidentally finding out about the Legendborn Society. But once she does, she realizes that there might be a connection between the Legendborn Society, or, someone a part of that world, and her mom's death. She thinks that they may have played a role in that. So she decides to become a part of the Legendborn Society, kind of get involved and see if she can find any answers about her mom and her mom's death. And so that is kind of where the main book starts off, but obviously she gets swept up in a lot of things that she didn't quite bargain for, and this is the sequel, so we're kind of picking up right where we left off in the first book. I think it's really only been like a week or two since the ending of the first book, and also, like, we just jumped right into the action. I'm on chapter 5, page 58, so I'm not super far, but we already had like a fight scene, and there's already been drama, and there's already been a character who's like, this is gonna happen, and it's like, well, what do you mean this is going to happen? So I'm already very invested, very excited to keep going. I am a little nervous just because I feel like this book in this duology has a lot of mixed feelings. I feel like there's people who love it just as much as the first one, if not more. But then there's also a lot of people who were really disappointed with it. And so I'm kind of going in with no expectations. As much as I liked Legendborn, I'm trying to be, realistic with this one and try not to expect too much from it because I don't want to be disappointed. But I really love these characters, so I'm excited to read more about them. Bree is like one of my favorite YA protagonists that I've read from, I feel like, so I'm very excited to get more of her story. Very stressed about what's going to happen in this book, especially because the third book I think is coming out next year, so I'm still gonna have to wait quite a while before I can read the third one, but it's gonna be okay because I'm at least continuing on with series. Another goal for the year is to do that, so I'm actually doing it. You should be proud of me. So Legendborn is what I'm currently physically reading, but then I've also started listening to the audiobook for The Violin Conspiracy by Brendan Slocum, I believe is his name. And this, again, I'm not very far. I don't even think I might be like 10% of the way through this. I'm not very far. I keep trying to listen to the audiobook before going to bed, and then I just fall asleep. So to be honest, I don't feel like I've retained a lot of what has happened at the beginning of this book so far because I just keep falling asleep. But from what I know, we have our main character, Ray, and he has this violin. He's a violin player. I don't know, like professional. I'm not really sure how that all works, but he's about to be a part of this like huge competition, but then his violin ends up going missing. I think it ends up being discovered that this violin is worth a lot of money. It's also like a family heirloom, so it's trying to figure out like who took this violin, like what happened to the violin. I don't know if it's going to be like super mysterious or if it's more like a character driven kind of story. I'm not too sure. Like I said, I'm not very far in. I just know that Bestie Casey likes this book. That's how I heard about it. So I saw it on Libby and I don't know, I felt drawn to starting to listen to it at this moment. So that's why I did that. But I'm not very far because I just haven't been reading. It doesn't matter what format it's in. I just have not been reading. A part of me is like, should I try reading something on my Kindle? Because I feel like that might help me get out of this little reading slump that I'm in, but maybe not. I don't know. I just don't think I've been in a reading mood, which is okay, but I'm forcing that to change with this vlog. So yeah, The Violin Conspiracy and Bloodmarked are kind of the TBR for now. Obviously, we will see what ends up happening. I also think me and Darian, we discussed buddy reading Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert, and I think she said that she wanted to start that either today or tomorrow. So I will potentially be picking up a third book in this vlog. We'll see what happens. But I also kind of feel like a fun, silly, goofy romance might be the thing that would also get me out of a reading slump. So maybe it would be smart to read that soon. I don't know. We're just gonna see what happens, but I think the rest of my night I want to do some journaling, and I also want to continue cleaning my bedroom because that's what I've been doing most of the day, but it's still a mess. Like, you wouldn't believe that I spent some of my day cleaning because it doesn't look it at all. I feel like sometimes when you clean, you have to make a bigger mess before it becomes clean, you know? I don't know. Maybe that's just me logic. Anyway, gonna clean, journal, do some reading this evening, and probably like have a hot chocolate, have some snacks, maybe watch a movie or something. I don't know, a little self-care moment, because right now I'm filming this, it's the 14th of February, which means it's Valentine's Day. So for me, that means a night of self-care, a night of doing things that I love, and that's how we're celebrating, which I think is great. But yeah, we will see what we end up reading in this vlog. I'm very excited to be filming another vlog. Like I said, I miss doing vlogs more frequently without a plan, just kind of seeing what happens in the week, and maybe we'll keep doing these. Not weekly, I'm not promising weekly vlogs, but I want to do them more frequently. So we'll see how this goes, and hopefully I can keep up with it. But anyway, welcome to a new vlog, and I will check back in once I've done some reading. I'm not gonna lie, do I have many reading updates to give you? Not really, but we have important things to discuss. But before we get into that, I will give you some reading updates. So last night I did listen to a bit of The Violin Conspiracy. I think I'm now 21% of the way through. I just checked Storygraph and I think that's what it said. So that is where I'm at with that. And I definitely think that this is more of a character-driven book than like the mystery aspect of his violin disappearing and being stolen, because I'm up to, I think, part 2 right now, and this whole part has been kind of like detailing Ray, the main character's like childhood or like his teenage years when he started really getting into playing the violin, and how he learned about this violin that was a part of his family and him trying to find it, and him like starting to play gigs doing, you know, playing the violin, and like this experience he had trying to play the violin at a wedding. And it just feels like so far it's been more about the character and his growth and his love for playing the violin and the story and the history with this particular violin that was taken. So I don't expect this to be like super mysterious, but I think there's going to be that underlying mystery of what happened with this particular violin. How many times have I said violin in the last minute? But yeah, at this point it definitely feels more character driven, but I am enjoying it. Like, I'm liking what I'm reading. I don't feel like super invested, but I am enjoying listening to it. And then I also read a little bit of Bloodmarked last night. I'm not gonna lie, I waited too long to start reading this yesterday. I had this grand plan that I was gonna spend the whole day reading, and then it was 10:30 at night and I had not read a single page. So that plan kind of flopped. Plus, I'm kind of a granny. Like 10 p.m. is when I become sleepy. So starting to read at 10:30, not ideal. I think I only read like 10 pages of this last night before I like fell asleep reading. So definitely didn't make a ton of progress with this, but I'm hoping to actually spend most of the day reading today. That's what I want to do today. What I was going to do yesterday reading wise, I want to do that today. So yeah, those are my brief reading updates. But the reason I had to sit down and start filming is because Miss Sabaa Tahir, she's coming out with a new book and I'm so excited. It was announced, it's almost 1 in the afternoon. It was announced at 10 a.m. this morning, so almost 3 hours ago. And I'm still like losing my mind. Like, I don't know how I'm supposed to be like a normal human being from now until when the book releases. She's been teasing this new fantasy book for quite a while now. And so I'm so excited when we were getting the announcement. And the fact that it's also coming out this year, I was kind of expecting it to be announced to come out in 2025, but it's coming out October 1st. It's called Air, and I'm so excited. I was just so excited to be getting a new fantasy book from Sabaa Tahir. It didn't really matter what it was going to be about. I was just excited to get more of a fantasy world from her because I obviously love the Ember in the Ashes series so much. It is one of my favorite series of all time. So I was just really excited that she was writing another fantasy book. But then it was announced, and this book is set in the Ember in the Ashes world. What am I supposed to do with that information? How am I supposed to cope until October when this book comes out? And then how am I supposed to cope once I read the book? Like, I'm just going to be overwhelmed for the rest of my life just because of this book. So yeah, it's set in the Ember in the Ashes world, but it's 20 years after the final events of the last book in the Ember in the Ashes series. And she said there's going to be some appearances from characters from the original series. And I do not know how I'm going to handle this. I may be being dramatic. I know I'm being dramatic, but genuinely, I'm so excited. I did not anticipate getting a new book from her set in this world. She was posting on Instagram. She's been posting on Instagram kind of all day answering people's questions about it. And she said that she actually started like working on this and writing it. I don't know if she was writing it, but she had the idea for it back in 2020 when Sky was like, before Sky had even been released. So the fact that she's had this idea since then, like, my chair's squeaking. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. I'm just simply not prepared to see any characters show up from An Ember in the Ashes. But like, reading the description of Air, like, I already know. And she also posted on Instagram that there's a connection to one of the main characters in this book to another main character from the original series. So I'm already overwhelmed, already stressed about that. And she also posted on Instagram that there are characters from An Ember in the Ashes that are showing up, but she goes, "Am I nice to them? Sabaa Tahir, haven't they suffered enough? Why are we putting them through more pain and suffering?" I just don't know what to do. Yeah, so in conclusion, I'm very overwhelmed by this news. I just do not know what I'm supposed to do until then. I mean, reread Ember in the Ashes, obviously. Been texting a few people. I'm planning buddy reads, I think, with multiple people to reread the series to prepare. She did say you don't have to read An Ember in the Ashes to read Air, but obviously I love An Ember in the Ashes, so I'm so excited to be able to pick up on all the Easter eggs and also just like have an excuse to reread the series. I've been wanting to reread it for quite a few years now, since I read it originally back in 2020, but definitely like the past couple of years I've been saying I'm gonna reread the series this year, it's gonna be great, and then I just don't do it. I think mostly because I'm scared to go through that pain again. Like, I don't know if I'm mentally prepared for that, but now I have to reread the series to be able to pick up on every single little hint and Easter egg in the new series. It is gonna be a series. It's the first book in a duology. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I really genuinely do not know. How am I supposed to cope with this information? How am I supposed to make it until October with this information? I don't know. I don't know. I was so excited for a new Sabaa book to begin with, and then the added bonus of it being a part of the Ember in the Ashes world, that really threw me for a loop. I was not prepared for that information, but we gotta get prepared. I gotta get emotionally ready to be destroyed emotionally because Sabaa likes to torture her characters, so I'm concerned. But it's gonna be great. So yeah, An Ember in the Ashes rereading situation is gonna be happening at some point this year, and I'm pumped about it. I'm excited that this gives me a reason to actually finally reread them, even though, again, I don't think I'm ready to go through that pain again, but it'll be worth it. So yeah, I just had to come on here and chat to you all about this because I have not stopped thinking about this book and this announcement since it was announced 3 hours ago. Like, I genuinely have not thought about anything else, and I just needed to yell about it and make you all aware of it if you missed the news. And I'm so excited. I don't know if any of you watching were here when I read the Ember in the Ashes series originally back in 2020, but I just completely fell in love with that series immediately, and I just love it so much. As much as it causes me so much pain, I just genuinely love it so much. So I'm so excited to be getting more from the world, especially because I wasn't expecting that. So yeah, catch me losing it until October 1st when Air comes out, and then catch me losing it reading Air. I'm definitely going to be doing a reading vlog for it. I have to. But yeah, that was like the main reason for me sitting down and chatting with you all. Sabaa here, the woman that you are. I'm so excited. And yeah, like I said, I do want to do a lot of reading today. I actually do a lot of reading today. So I think that that's going to be the plan. So I think I'm going to finish eating my lunch because I stopped mid-lunch to yell about this because I needed to talk about it. I couldn't keep it to myself anymore. I mean, obviously I've been texting people about it, but I needed to like verbalize out loud my excitement. So stopped mid-lunch to do that. So I'm going to finish my lunch and then probably sit down and do some reading. You're gonna have to excuse the appearance, but I have some reading updates as well as a fun unboxing to do, so I thought we could do that as well. But first I want to chat about some reading updates. So first of all, have not really listened to any more of The Violin Conspiracy. I think I'm still like 20-something% of the way through. I'm not very far. It's not really the book because I think I'm enjoying it. I think I'm just not in the biggest audiobook mood right now, so it's making it hard for me to remember to listen to it just because I'm not in the mood to do that. So hopefully I can finish that before my hold runs out. I think it's ending in a few days, so fingers crossed I can get through it. My problem is that I tend to listen to audiobooks before going to bed. Like, I just put them on while I like relax with the lights off, like getting ready to go to sleep, and then I end up falling asleep, which, you know, who would have predicted that was gonna happen? So yeah, that's why I feel like I haven't made the most progress in this, just not in the biggest audiobook mood, and when I do listen, I fall asleep. So hopefully I can finish that, but I have read some more of Bloodmarked. I'm now on chapter 24, which is page 222. Lots of twos. And it was a couple days ago where I said I really wanted to do a lot of reading, and I ended up reading like over 100 pages in that one day. And for me recently, like reading over 100 pages in one day has not happened in quite a while. So I'm very happy with the progress I've been making. I plan to do some more reading tonight. I think my plan after I finish this update is I'm going to shower, get comfy, potentially take a nap, and then maybe do some reading the rest of the night. But so far with Bloodmarked, I think I'm like almost halfway through, kind of, sort of. That's what I'm gonna tell myself to make myself feel better, that I'm almost halfway. But with Bloodmarked so far, I definitely am enjoying it. It has taken a lot of like twists and turns with the plot that I wasn't expecting. There was kind of something that happened that I went, oh, this probably is gonna be like what a lot of the plot is going to be and where Bree as a character is going to be at for most of this book. But then another twist happens, and then that whole thing that I thought was going to be more of a thing ends up not really being more of a thing, and now we're on a different kind of storyline. So I'm very interested to see where this book's going, because I really don't know. I feel like I can never really predict where this story is going to go so far, and I feel like I felt that way with Legendborn as well. And I just love Bree. I feel like I say that every time I talk about the series, but I just love her. I feel so much for her because what she is going through in this series, but also like particularly this book, is just so frustrating, and honestly, like, I just want to fight people on her behalf. Not that she's not capable of fighting on her own, because she is, but it's like I want to also just protect her. I want to wrap her in bubble wrap and just make her like feel happy, because she's going through it, and she has a lot of people like coming at her all the time in this series, and especially this book. So I don't know, she's just kind of like, there's just a lot of things that are going wrong, and a lot of things and a lot of challenges that she's facing. So I just want to protect her, really. But I love her, and so I'm excited to see where the rest of the book goes. Like I said, I really do not know where this is going. I feel like every time I think I know where the story is going to go, something else happens and then completely derails the plot from what I thought it was going to be. So honestly, don't know. Excited to find out. Again, nervous because I know like this book in this series is not everyone's favorite. Like, I feel like it has mixed feelings. So I'm optimistic because I am enjoying it so far, but I'm definitely still like trying to keep my expectations reasonable. But yeah, so far with this, I am enjoying it. So I'm just excited to see where it goes, and hopefully I continue to enjoy it. But like I said, I did have some book mail that I wanted to unbox. We have a very exciting pre-order that arrived a couple days ago, and I've just been waiting to unbox it on camera. Can she pull the tab in a satisfying way? No, she can't. It almost made it to the end. Oh, it's upside down. That was very anticlimactic. Let me try it again, but let me not show my address. There we go. So we've got With a Little Luck by Marissa Meyer. We all know Marissa Meyer, love her so much. And this is her newest release. It's another YA contemporary. It's set in the Instant Karma kind of world. We're following the brother of the main character from Instant Karma, so there is a little bit of a connection there. It also is very short. I was expecting it to be longer. That's what she said. Sorry, that's not funny. It's 356 pages. Okay, that's like a reasonable page length. It just seems really short, like it feels thin. Anyway, I'm excited for it. I definitely feel like right now I'm not in a YA contemporary moment. I feel like that time has passed. I will occasionally pick one up, but they're just not something I gravitate to. And the only reason why I'm reading this in the first place is because it's Marissa Meyer. If Marissa Meyer didn't write this, I probably wouldn't read it. But because it is her and I read everything she writes, of course I had to pick this up, and I did pre-order this, and there is a pre-order gift. It's another poster. So I'm excited to eventually get that in the mail. I have no idea when that's being shipped, when we can expect to get them, but I'm very excited. I need to put up the other posters that I've gotten from pre-orders from her before, because I have two. Sorry, I just saw something on my window. I think it was just a bird, but for some reason it seemed larger than a bird. Anyway, yeah, I need to get, I think, all of the posters that I've collected of her characters that she's given for pre-orders up on my wall, because why do I not have them up? That's a great question. So hopefully I can do that when I get the one for this pre-order. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I have no idea when I'm gonna get to this. I want to get to it soon. I wanted to do a reread of Instant Karma before reading this though. No idea if that's gonna happen. We'll see. And I'm also thinking of doing a reading vlog dedicated to this book, but I'm trying to decide if I want to do a vlog like rereading Instant Karma, reading this, or just reading this. Do I include spoilers or not? Let me know if you would watch any sort of vlog with me dedicating it to this book or this series. Just let me know what you'd like to see. But yeah, very excited that it arrived, especially because, you know, Barnes & Noble pre-orders, I sometimes have bad luck with them. Sometimes they get lost, sometimes they never just show up, and they always show up like days after the book releases. I feel like they used to ship them out like a day before the book release so that it would get to you the day the book came out. They don't do that anymore. But anyway, that's my little unboxing and also my reading updates for now. Like I said, I'm gonna go take a shower and get comfy, and then hopefully do some reading tonight. I'm also in the mood to watch something. I kind of feel like I'm in the mood to watch a movie or something, so maybe that'll happen. I feel like every time I say that though, I don't end up watching anything, so we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna see what happens. I'm gonna get cozy and just spend the rest of the night having a very relaxing evening, either reading or watching something, or both. We'll see. Well, this vlog to get me out of a reading slump, I don't really think is working. I'm still making my way through both The Violin Conspiracy and Bloodmarked. Bloodmarked is over there on my side table. I have not picked it up since the last update, so have no more reading updates for you with that one. And then I'm checking Libby right now with The Violin Conspiracy. I'm 57% of the way through that, and today is going to be spent listening to that in any moments that I can, because my hold for this runs out tonight at 11, so I need to finish it before my hold runs out. I'm still liking it. I think part of the problem is that I'm just like in a reading slump right now, and I think I've just accepted that that's where I'm at. And so I feel like it doesn't really matter what I'm reading. I just don't know if I would be enjoying anything, you know, at this point, which is sad because I was excited to pick this book up when I borrowed the audiobook. Like when I first got it, I was excited to start it, and I've been wanting to read it for a while. And I don't know, it just is frustrating when my mindset and like how I'm feeling is impacting the way that I'm viewing the books I'm reading. But like that could be said for literally any time whenever you read anything. I definitely feel like the moods that I'm in and where I'm at, just mentally, physically, whatever's going on in my life definitely can impact my enjoyment of books. So I think that that's like just the way it always is. But the fact that I am feeling so slumpy and I'm just kind of like listening to this to make it so that I actually finish something in this vlog, I just don't know if I'm giving this book the fairest chance. I am liking it though. I definitely feel like interested to see where it's going. It definitely is more character driven, like I was saying. It's like there's kind of this underlying mystery because the way that this book is set up, you get the very beginning of the current day timeline, and Ray loses his violin. It's been stolen and he doesn't know what has happened. He doesn't know who's taken it. And then we go back to when he was a teenager and him like becoming really passionate about playing the violin, and him learning about this violin that was in his family and it being gifted to him, and him learning about its value and just becoming a better violin player and playing gigs and becoming more successful in that way. And we've also been seeing like his relationship with family and friends and how that's changed, and especially once they learn the value of his violin and see his success and how that has impacted his relationship with these people. Also the racism that he faces in these spaces and people doubting his talents and his abilities and his like right to this violin because he's Black. So that's definitely something that we're focusing on. We're really focusing on Ray's journey. And so, you know, the beginning of the book's the current day, the violin's lost, and then we've been slowly just following his life, like kind of chronologically leading up to the current day, this event, this competition where he's going to be playing but his violin's stolen. Like we're kind of going back and seeing things leading up to that moment. So we're kind of getting like introduced to people and situations that may have influenced this violin being stolen in the first place. So I think that that's been really interesting to follow. It's definitely not like super mysterious. Like, I'm not on the edge of my seat being like, what happened? Like, who stole the violin? I need to know. Like, it's not really that intense for me, but I am intrigued to see how it all ends and like what actually happened. So I'm liking it. I just don't feel super invested in it, but I think it's like I wouldn't be invested in anything right now just because I am feeling so slumpy. I think because this year I'm really taking a lot of pressure off of myself with reading because it's supposed to be fun. And that's it. That's all I want to do. I want to read because it's fun. I feel like with creating like videos and, you know, all of that type of stuff around books, it's kind of put this weird pressure on me to like read certain things or read things for videos, or I don't know. I just feel like whenever I've been in slumps before, I've like forced myself to read through them anyways, because I'm like, well, I can't vlog or create videos about books if I'm not reading. And so I just didn't allow myself to ever be like in a reading slump the past few years. But because I'm taking a lot of that pressure off of myself this year, now that I am in a reading slump, I think it's all just catching up to me. I'm like, oh, I'm in a reading slump and I don't want to read, and so I'm not. So I think that that's definitely like impacting my view of this book, unfortunately. But at the same time, I have been reading Bloodmarked and I've been enjoying that. I mean, obviously I haven't picked it up the past few days, but when I have been reading it, I've been enjoying it. So I don't know. I think it's like mostly my mental state right now and like the fact that I am in a reading slump, but also part of it might just also be the book and like my experience with it. I don't know, but we're gonna see how it all wraps up, how I end up feeling about it, because I'm definitely gonna finish it today because my hold runs out tonight. So we're gonna be listening to that throughout the whole day today. I have some laundry that I'm gonna be doing today. I also want to do some editing of this vlog so that I just don't have to do the entire edit in a couple days, like right before I want to post this video. So I think I'm gonna be doing that and just generally doing some cleaning. And I have to prepare my like bullet journal for March because I'm going to be filming that soon. So just while I'm doing all of these things, just kind of some housekeeping, cleaning, kind of those types of things, I'm probably going to be listening to the audiobook today. And then I obviously will check in once I've finished it on my final thoughts with everything. I am liking it, but I'm not loving it. And I think part of it is just on me. I think it's a me problem. But I'm also hoping to do some reading like physically tonight as well, whether that's Bloodmarked or Actor A.G. Brown, because Darian and I, we're planning on buddy reading this, and she started it. I have not. And, you know, with a buddy read, that generally means that we read the book at the same time. So that means that I need to start it. And I do feel like maybe picking up a romance might help me get out of a reading slump just because I love romance books. They're just so fun. I love Talia Hibber's romance books, so I feel like that'll be like the perfect thing to pick up right now, and hopefully that will help with my reading slump as well. But we'll see. So maybe I'll be picking that up tonight. Maybe I'll pick up Bloodmarked, but Violin Conspiracy, finishing that is definitely on the agenda for today. Well, it is time for me to wrap up this vlog of me trying my dang hardest to get out of a reading slump. And did it really work? Not quite sure. Also, I apologize if this was not the most interesting of vlogs to watch, because I only finished one book, which we'll talk about in a second, but I also was just complaining about being in a reading slump the whole time. So I don't know how good of a vlog this was, but another part of me thinks that maybe perhaps it is refreshing to see someone who creates videos surrounding books, talks about books, loves reading, but is also in a reading slump. And like sometimes we just don't feel like reading, and that's okay. It's okay to prioritize other hobbies or other things over reading. I know perhaps that is like not allowed and illegal for me to say, but it is okay to allow yourself to not read if you don't feel like it. But I am hoping that I can kind of get my way out of this reading slump, just because like I want to read. I want to be in the mood to read. I just don't feel like I'm fully there, but I do feel like I'm a little bit more excited with what I'm currently reading, which again, we'll talk about that in a second. So I'm hoping with that I can get myself out of this reading slump. I just kind of think that The Violin Conspiracy, which was the one book that I did manage to finish in this vlog, I just don't think that was the book that I should have been reading to get myself out of a reading slump, just because it's totally outside of the genres I typically read from. It felt more just like a literary fiction type of book that just happens to have this mystery plot, but like I'm not a big mystery thriller reader or literary fiction reader. Like it's not really within the genres that I typically read. It's also just a very like slowly moving book. The plot is a little bit slower paced, which isn't a bad thing, and I think perhaps if I wasn't in this mindset, I might have enjoyed that more. I have enjoyed books that are a bit slower paced. I think it was just because I was in a reading slump. I was just like waiting for something to happen in this book, and that wasn't really what was going on. Like, yes, there was this mystery, but honestly, the mystery aspect was kind of underwhelming, because a good amount of this book is just like the year or so previous to the violin being stolen and this competition that's about to happen, and him trying to figure out what happened to his violin. We're kind of leading up the few months before that and seeing him like come in contact with people that could be responsible. So you're kind of picking up on the clues, and you're getting introduced to characters that you're like, I probably should be suspicious of you. So it's setting, you know, those little Easter eggs for you to be able to figure out the mystery. But it is a lot of focus on Ray's life and his experiences as a musician, as a violinist, and his experiences with his family, and also with people who want something from him now that he has this very highly valued violin, and also the racism that he faces within these spaces. So, and not even just within the musician spaces, but like just like in life. So there's a lot of things besides the mystery that we see, but there's always this kind of underlying tone of like, but there is this mystery that you know about, and that's going to become relevant. So like, here are the little Easter eggs for you to pick up on. But I just found honestly the mystery part of it to be pretty underwhelming. I was more interested in Ray as a character and his life and his relationships versus the mystery aspect. And then you kind of get to the end and it's like, oh, his violin's missing. What are they going to do? And like, you're seeing them try to figure out how to get it back and like see if they can figure out who took it. And then you get the reveal of who took the violin. And I don't know, I just found the whole thing, like, I think it made sense. It was just underwhelming, and that was just not what I really cared about. And that's also just a me thing. Like I said, I'm not a big mystery thriller reader, so that's on me. Plus, I'm also in a reading slump, so I think that that was just influencing my enjoyment of this book entirely, which obviously is a bummer, because it makes me think, like, if I had read this book at another time, would I have liked it more? I don't know. It definitely makes me intrigued to read this author's other book that I think came out maybe last year. I definitely want to check out more of this author's books, because I think this might have just been like a timing thing, which definitely happens. I feel like there's books that I read at the wrong time, but then there's also books that I read at the exact right time. So I think it was just the fact that I'm in a reading slump and the timing of picking it up, and also just the fact that this is outside of what I typically read. So maybe that's influencing my enjoyment, and the fact that also I was in a reading slump, so like I should have been picking up something that is more familiar. I don't know. I thought this was fine. I gave it 3.5 stars to conclude. I did round up on Goodreads, because when I put it through the compile rating system, it ended up being like closer to a 4-star than a 3. So that's kind of how I determine on Goodreads, because they don't let you do half stars, which someday they really got to work on that. But because they don't let you do half stars, that kind of helps me determine if I should round up or round down with a half-star rating. So I rounded up. I liked it. It was enjoyable enough, but I think, again, the fact that I was just in a reading slump, this was just not the thing that I should have been reading at this time. So I don't know. I don't know how to review it. Like, I feel like this review isn't necessarily fair, because I know it's so much on me and what I'm going through right now that my enjoyment of this book was influenced by that. So yeah, 3.5 stars, but also like, I don't know. And also, funny story about me finishing this book, my hold was gonna run out the last time I checked in. It was running out later that day at like 11 p.m. So I was like, okay, I have plenty of time to finish the book. While getting ready for bed, I was like, I have plenty of time on the speed I'm listening to read this before 11. I was cutting it close, because it was like almost 10 o'clock when I was like, okay, I still need to listen to the last bit of this book. But I was like, I still have plenty of time. Guess who fell asleep listening to her audiobook and then made it so I couldn't finish it before my hold ran out? I predicted this earlier in the vlog. I'm pretty sure I said something about how I always fall asleep when I listen to audiobooks at night. Guess what? That happened. So what ended up happening was I had the last half hour left of this audiobook. So I got a free trial of Audible so that I could listen to the last half hour of this book, because it's not available on Hoopla. It's not available anywhere like on Scribd or anything for me. And the hold on Libby, like I was gonna have to wait 5 weeks about to get it back to listen to the last half hour. I was like, I'm just not doing that. So I got a free trial of Audible to listen to the last half hour. It kind of made me laugh. Like I was kind of annoyed with myself, but also like classic me. I fell asleep. Like that's just what I do. If it's past 10 p.m., I can't be held accountable to actually stay awake. I will go to sleep. So yeah, she kind of silly goofed that one. I had the whole day to listen to the audiobook, but of course I waited to the last hour when I was sleepy. Dumb, not smart. Don't be like me. But other reading updates beyond finishing The Violent Conspiracy, I'm still reading Bloodmarked. Again, have not picked this up since my last update. So we're still on page 222. Oh yeah, all the twos. Chapter 24. Yeah, so I haven't read any more of this, but I'm hoping to get back into this now that I have finished The Violent Conspiracy. That was another thing, like, if I had time to read, I was trying to listen to that audiobook because I knew my hold was running out, so hopefully gonna get back into this. But then, because Darian started Actor Age Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert, our buddy read, I was like, well, I should at least start it so that we're kind of reading it at the same time. I think that she said that she was up to chapter 10, which is about that far into the book, and as you can see with my bookmark, I'm not that close to that. She's almost halfway through the book, and I'm 30 pages in on chapter 3. But that's okay, because I feel like, again, this might be more up my alley, more familiar to me, so this might be something that can get me out of my reading slump. Just a fast-paced, silly, goofy romance. I also really enjoy Talia Hibbert's writing. I've liked all the other books in this series. I've also read another romance book by her. I also read her YA book, so I just enjoy her writing. So I feel like this is going to be easy for me to fly through once I actually sit down and focus on reading for more than 5 minutes. But in this book, you're following Eve Brown, whose parents are kind of sick of her just relying on them for money, and is kind of like, all right, you need to have a job for at least a year, and then we will start taking you seriously, and we will start up your payments from your trust fund again, because they're rich, so like good for them. But basically they're like, you need to hold down a job for at least a year before we will start up those payments again, to kind of hold her accountable to set herself up and have a job and keep a job for longer than like a week, because that's what she had been doing in the past. So she ends up stumbling upon this bed and breakfast and goes in to do an interview to potentially get the job as the chef at this bed and breakfast. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. She's still doing that interview, but I do know that the guy who runs this bed and breakfast, Jacob, he's like not wanting to hire her. He's against it. And then she ends up hitting him with her car accidentally. And so to offer her help and assistance, because I think his like arm is broken or something. Yeah, his arm is broken. So now he kind of needs some help at his bed and breakfast. So Eve is like, I will help you. You need to hire me so that I can help you. But like I said, I'm not that far in. I'm still like getting to that point. So I'm excited to keep going. I already really like the characters. Like I said, Talia Hibbert's writing is just so good, so funny, and just so easy to just like get right into one of her books. Like I already felt familiar with everything. Obviously this is the third book in a series, but Eve Brown as the main character is a different perspective than we're reading from. And Jacob is obviously a new character as well. So it was just so easy to get into their perspectives and start reading about their story. And I also just feel like Eve Brown as character is going to be very relatable to me. Not the having a trust fund and being rich part of it, but the part where she's like does not know what she's doing with her life and feels very like, I don't know what I want to do. I have things that I'm passionate about, but I don't want to make those my job, because then it might make me lose that passion. And just like her being a 26-year-old woman who does not know what she's doing, I'm like, wow, I have a feeling this is going to come for me and I'm going to feel attacked, but I'm ready. But yeah, I did end up starting this. So hopefully these two things, because I'm excited about both of them, I'm excited to keep going with both of them, can actually get me out of my reading slump. I'm excited to jump back into these. But those are all of my final reading updates for this vlog. Hopefully the next vlog that I film will be a little bit more interesting. I'll have read a few more books in a vlog, and also I'll be out of my reading slump. That's what we're gonna manifest. The next time I vlog, we are not in a reading slump anymore. I'm hoping that I'll get out of it within the next couple of days. That's what we want. And I know I said I was going to start vlogging more regularly, or trying to be more regular with doing some week-long vlogs, and I feel like this vlog was not a great start to that whole journey. I promise going forward, when I do more weekly vlogs, they will be more interesting, hopefully. But I'd love to know in the comments below what you're currently reading or what you've just recently finished, or if you have any tips for getting out of a reading slump, because I feel like I know I've read some before, but I would just love to know what you particularly do to get out of a slump, and then maybe I can apply them and hopefully beat this reading slump. But that is going to be it for this weekly reading vlog. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.